This is the story of how a completely unplanned moment during a rain machine test became the centerpiece of a scene in one of 2026's most anticipated films. When Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi were filming Emerald Fennell's adaptation of Wuthering Heights, an instinctive gesture from Elordi stopped production in its tracks and earned praise from both his co-star and director as one of the most romantic things they'd ever witnessed. The moment happened during rehearsal for a rain scene. The crew was testing the levels of the rain machine, and as the water started falling, Robbie covered her forehead with her hands. She looked up at Elordi, and as she later pointed out in an interview with Access Hollywood, when you're acting with Jacob Elordi, who stands 6'5", you're constantly looking up at him. What happened next wasn't scripted. Elordi automatically moved to cover Robbie's face from the rain. It was second nature to him, a completely instinctive action. According to Robbie, he wasn't even aware that he had done anything chivalrous or romantic at all. But both Robbie and director Emerald Fennell immediately recognized what they just witnessed. Robbie recalls that both she and Fennell just stopped everything and said, "Okay, stop." She described it as the most romantic thing I have experienced and seen, and they immediately told Elordi to do exactly that for the whole scene. That spontaneous protective gesture became the scene itself. This wasn't the only romantic gesture Elordi made during production. The cast happened to be shooting on Valentine's Day 2025, and Elordi filled Robbie's room with roses. But it wasn't just the flowers. He included a handwritten note written in character as Heathcliff, along with what Robbie described as a little tombstone thing that became symbolic of the film. Robbie told Vogue Australia that it was crafty, meaningful, and dramatic, and she remembered thinking that Elordi must be a very good boyfriend because there was so much thoughtfulness in the gesture. She admitted he beat her that day since she hadn't planned anything in return. The bond between Robbie and Elordi during filming went far beyond professional courtesy. In an interview with Fandango, Robbie revealed that they became codependent quite quickly. During the first few days of shooting, she noticed Elordi would always be somewhere in the vicinity, usually in a corner, watching. By the third day, she found herself looking around to see where he was, and when he wasn't nearby, she felt unnerved and unmoored, like a kid without their blanket. Elordi confirmed this mutual obsession. He told Fandango that regardless of plot or screenplay, if you have the opportunity to share a film set with Margot Robbie, you're going to make sure you're within 5 to 10 meters at all times. He watched everything, how she drinks tea, how she eats her food, waiting to see when the facade might slip. But as he put it never comes undone. He called her an elite actor and said he was enamored by her. Both actors admitted in their Vogue Australia interview that they hated shooting when the other wasn't on set. Elordi remembered a stretch when Robbie was off filming with Shazad Latif, who plays Edgar Linton, for what felt like forever. Robbie countered that Elordi was off with Alison Oliver, who plays Isabella Linton. She said she loves both actors more than anything, but kept thinking, he's mine. Elordi reflected that you could almost imagine the spirit of the unrequited love that Emily Bronte created floating around the set, and it really did feel like they were catching little pieces of that. Director Emerald Fennell took some unusual steps to cultivate this chemistry. In an interview with Today, Robbie and Elordi revealed that Fennell had created shrines in each of their dressing rooms. Robbie's room had a Jacob shrine, and Elordi's room had a Margot shrine, complete with locks of hair, pictures, and candles. Robbie called it unhinged and hilarious, while Elordi found it funny and fantastic. As a permanent reminder of their collaboration, Robbie commissioned matching rings from UK designer CC Fine Hughes. The rings featured two hand-enameled skeletons locked in an embrace, surrounded by thorns, with the initials C and H for Catherine and Heathcliff. They also include the years 1847 to 2026, marking the original novel's publication to the film's release. According to the designer, the skeletons are posed in the exact position from the film's iconic poster, and the rings are engraved with a quote from the novel, "His and mine are the same." It's worth noting the context here. Margot Robbie is 35 and has been married to producer Tom Ackerley since December 2016. Ackerley actually served as an executive producer on Wuthering Heights. The couple met on set of Sweet Francaise in 2013 and co-founded Lucky Chap Entertainment in 2014, the production company behind this film, as well as Barbie, Promising Young Woman, and I, Tonya. Robbie and Ackerley also welcomed their first child in October 2024, just months before the film's premiere. Jacob Elordi, who's 28, had previously worked with Fennell on Saltburn in 2023, earning a BAFTA nomination for Best Supporting Actor. He's also known for playing Nate Jacobs in Euphoria and recently earned an Oscar nomination for playing the creature in Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. The film itself was the subject of a significant bidding war. Netflix offered $150 million, but the filmmakers chose Warner Brothers' $80 million bid because it came with a commitment to a theatrical release and full marketing campaign. The film premiered on January 28, 2026 at the TCL Chinese Theater in Los Angeles and hits theaters on February 13th, Valentine's Day weekend, with a runtime of 2 hours and 16 minutes. What makes these stories particularly compelling is how they mirror the intensity of the source material. Wuthering Heights, published by Emily Bronte in 1847, is about the intense and destructive relationship between Catherine Earnshaw and Heathcliff, childhood friends who become obsessive lovers. Fennell has claimed she can't claim to be making making Wuthering Heights because you can't truly adapt a book that dense and complicated, which is why the film's title appears in quotation marks. She's making a version of it. And based on everything Robbie and Elordi have shared about their experience making this film, it seems like Fennell succeeded in capturing something of that all-consuming passion. Sometimes the most romantic moments aren't the ones that are scripted and rehearsed. Sometimes they're the instinctive gestures that happen when someone isn't even thinking about being romantic. They're just being themselves. And sometimes, if you're lucky, those moments are captured on camera and become the heart of the scene.
We were checking if the rain machine level was right. And I was going like that because the rain had started, and of course when you're acting with Jacob, you're like looking up like this all the time.
Exactly.
So I went like that, and he just automatically went to cover my face because he's a gentleman, and it's just like that's second nature to him. He just automatically went like that, and honestly, both Emerald and I just went, okay, stop.
I know.
And he was not aware that he had done anything chivalrous or romantic at all, and we were just like, that was one of the most romantic things I've ever experienced and seen. So do that for the whole scene, and then we made that the scene because But it's those gestures that you can't. I don't know. I think in films, particularly romantic films, that we're now familiar with a lot of images, gestures, lines, scenes that you're like, okay, it's a love story. It's a this. He's going to do this. It's going to do that. Whatever. But like Emerald finds these gestures that you're like, oh my God, I've never seen that, and I don't know why it makes me feel a certain way, but that's an example of it.
I looked at my friend I was watching the movie with, and I was like, get you somebody that's gonna be a visor.
That's what I said.
Get you somebody.
I suddenly was like, no one's ever done that for me. Why has no one ever done that for me? No one's ever covered my face from the rain.
No one loves me.
I was like, I have a new bar in life.
Exactly. I could do this with y'all for hours about this movie, truly. That's my time, but thank you so much. I'll see you tonight. We have much more to discuss.